Mr. Speaker, I move that the House suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1480.
The clerk will. Does the gentleman wish to call up Senate 759?
That is correct.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Senate 759, an act to authorize the National Detector Dog Training Center and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Thompson, and the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to be here to support this bill that we're now debating regarding the National Detector Dog Training Center. This training center serves as an important line of defense in safeguarding America's agricultural and natural resources from harmful pests and diseases. The center in Georgia trains dogs and their handlers to detect prohibited agricultural items like fruits, vegetables, and meats. These dogs and their handlers then serve at many of our border entry points to prevent such prohibited items from coming into our country and spreading dangerous pests and animal diseases that would have just devastating impacts on our domestic production, actually impacting our ability to feed ourselves, resulting in food insecurity, which leads to national security. While this bill simply codifies a training center that has been in existence since 1984, I'm glad to see the center receive the recognition and prioritization it deserves. I'm happy to support this legislation, and that's been supported by Mr. Sanford Bishop, and also appreciate Representative Ferguson's leadership on this bill and bringing it to the floor. And I thank him for his service to Georgia's 3rd Congressional District. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
I am proud to rise in support of the Beagle Brigade Act, which is a bipartisan, bicameral bill, the companion of which I led in this chamber with my colleagues, Representatives Drew Ferguson, Dan Kildee, and Adrian Smith. The Senate version, which we consider today, was offered and advanced through the Senate by Senators Warnock of Georgia and Senator Ernst from Iowa. The bill provides authorization for the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Detector Dog Training Center located in Noonan, Georgia, which is vital to the protection of American agriculture and helps keep foreign animal and plant pests as well as diseases out of our country. The U.S. agriculture sector is a $1 trillion industry constantly under the threat of foreign pests and diseases such as African swine fever, foot and mouth disease, or citrus greening disease that could be introduced through our nation's ports of entry, including airports, harbors, and mail and cargo facilities. Some of these diseases could cost the American economy tens of billions of dollars to contain and eradicate if they are found to be in the country. Agriculture detector dogs, known as the Beagle Brigade, are an important tool in preventing these threats and eradicating them in the event they overcome our safeguards. Our Beagle Brigade is at work every day at customs screening in the airports for flights after returning from abroad, standing by to alert their handlers of contraband food, live animals, or other products that could harbor foreign pests and pose a threat to domestic crops or livestock. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The brigade is well worth its value. In addition to authorizing the training center, this bill requires a facility to ensure the health and well-being of the dogs under its care and provide opportunities for private adoption of retirement-age trained dogs and dogs that do not complete the training. Detector dogs work their best when they are handled humanely, and establishing this requirement in law would ensure that the facility continues to uphold this expectation. I'm pleased to note that this bill has the support of 50 organizations representing veterinarians, agricultural producers, and animal health groups. On a final note, two of my colleagues who helped lead this bill in the House, Drew Ferguson and Dan Kildee, are retiring, and I'm pleased that we can enact this bill as they conclude their extraordinary tenure in Congress. I urge everyone to vote in support of this bill to help protect America's agriculture and our economy. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to yield as much time as it may consume to the gentleman from Georgia, Congressman Ferguson.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague, Mr. Bishop, for those kind words. Those are much appreciated. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of H.R. 1480, the Beagle Brigade Act of 2023. And I was proud to join Representative Bishop in introducing the Beagle Brigade Act, which would provide permanent authorization for the National Detector Dog Training Center located in Newnan, Georgia. The Beagle Brigade Act would permanently authorize the training center to ensure that America's food supply stays protected from potentially devastating foreign pests and diseases. The National Detector Dog Training Center in Georgia's 3rd Congressional District does important work to properly train detector dogs to sniff out prohibited agricultural items in domestic and international trade. I'd also like to thank Senator Joni Ernst and fellow Senator Raphael Warnock from Georgia for their work on Senate Companion Bill S-759. The bipartisan bicameral effort in support of this legislation was important, and I look forward to the Beagle Brigade Act becoming law. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Pennsylvania reserves. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
I'd like to yield to the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Kildee, such time as he may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my friend Representative Bishop for yielding and for his work on this legislation. We do a lot of big controversial bills. Sometimes we can actually come together as Democrats and Republicans to get something done that serves the interests and the needs of the American people. This is a good example of that. The Beagle Brigade Act, which I introduced, as has been said, with Representative Bishop, Representative Ferguson, Representative Adrian Smith, will help protect our food supply from foreign pests and disease. The bill authorizes the National Detector Dog Training Center. This center extensively trains detector dogs and their U.S. Customs and Border Protection handlers to sniff out prohibited agriculture items that could carry foreign plant or animal pests and diseases into our country. And as we've seen over the past year, it's critical that we have processes in place to protect our country and our agriculture system from those prohibited products that could introduce pests or disease. Authorizing the United States Department of Agriculture's National Detector Dog Training Center ensures that the U.S. has a critical tool in the fight against foreign pests and diseases that have the potential to devastate all sectors of the agricultural economy. And as Representative Bishop has said, over 50 prominent agriculture, veterinary, and trade organizations support our legislation. The center trains dogs, mostly beagles, hence the name of the bill, our nickname for it, and their handlers to detect prohibited fruits, vegetables, and meats in international passenger, luggage, mailed packages, and vehicles entering the United States. Dogs are selected from animal shelters and rescue groups and private owners, and those that retire from the program or do not complete the training are offered for adoption. I'm glad we've come together to advance this important piece of legislation. As has been said, the most likely path for these dangerous substances coming into our food supply is through those ports of entry. This legislation will have a positive impact in protecting not only public health, but also protecting the industry. And I'm grateful to, back in Michigan, some of the organizations that I've worked with on this, the Michigan milk producers, the Michigan pork producers, the Michigan Farm Bureau. But I'm especially grateful to my colleagues. This is one of the last couple of days that I'll serve in the House of Representatives, as you said. I've been pleased to have good friendships here, and those friendships have developed into the kind of work that we can do together to advance the interests of the American people. Representative Ferguson and I have become very good friends over the years. And Representative Bishop, you and I have a special bond. You helped me through one of my more difficult personal health challenges. I'll always be grateful to you for that and grateful for the opportunity to serve with you. And I'm particularly happy that we're able to put an exclamation point on our joint service together today by seeing this legislation come to the floor, and I urge my colleagues to support it. Thank you again very much, and I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, once again, I'm just very appreciative to all the members who have provided the leadership on this piece of legislation. I think when folks hear that the name of this bill, they wonder why Congress is dealing with this. And it is, I mean, I kind of like the name, actually, Beagle Brigade, but it's not a laughing matter. It's a serious matter. And I appreciate the thought that it has and the due diligence that has been put into this bill and the construct of it in terms of really meeting the needs of our nation. I mean, it is worth repeating that, the bill would officially authorize the existing National Detector Dog Training Center located in Noonan, Georgia. The center trains detector dogs, mostly beagles, not all beagles, but mostly beagles, and their U.S. Customs and Border Protection handlers to detect prohibited agriculture items like fruits and vegetables and meats that could carry foreign plant and animal pests and disease into the United States. And once that happens, how rapid those could spread can obviously seriously impact commodities within the United States and our agriculture industry, and quite frankly, the health and safety of our citizens. And so dogs and their handlers inspect international passenger baggage, mailed packages, vehicles entering the U.S. Dogs are selected from animal shelters, rescue groups, and private owners, and those that do not complete the training, as well as retirement age trained dogs, are offered for private adoptions. So the dogs are well cared for from beginning to end. The bill would also require the Animal Plant and Plant Health Inspection Service, or APHIS, to prepare a report to Congress no later than 1 year after the date of enactment, including a description of current and emerging pests and disease threats, the role of the center in protecting against those threats, and any recommendations for strengthening that role and the overall center. So as you can see, Mr. Speaker, it is a well-thought-out, comprehensive bill that is really, I think, of strategic importance for our nation. With that, I'll reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
I don't think we have any more speakers. I'm prepared to close.
The gentleman is recognized.
I'm very, very proud to support the Beagle Brigade Act and to have had the opportunity to work with my colleagues, Representatives Drew Ferguson, Dan Kildee, and Adrian Smith, and to have the support of our senators, Senator Warnock and Senator Ernst from Iowa. This is a vital piece of legislation which protects the American agriculture, and it keeps foreign and animal plant pests, as well as other diseases, out of our country. I think we have done a good day's work today, and I want to commend my colleagues for their joint efforts. And with that, I will yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Well, Mr. Speaker, once again, thank you for all those who put this bill forward. I think this is just this example of this piece of legislation illustrates why it is commonly said that a dog is a man's best friend. And it really fills an incredible niche here. So before I close, Mr. Speaker, I would ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on Senate Bill 759.
Without objection.
And with that, I urge a yes vote on this bill and yield back the balance of my time.